and don't quarrel on the way. Guys, remember when you used to quarrel? No, remember when we'd be in the field and you guys used to quarrel? I remember that. That's why I said that. I missed you guys. I missed you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I'm reading the Bible so that, well, frankly, you don't have to. You can, but you don't have to, because I'm doing it for you. Of course, the NIV. If you want the King James Version, you can struggle through that all by yourself, because it's just going to be way too hard for me. I already can't pronounce these names, and if they add a ETH to the end of them, like every Josepheth, and Canaanith, like if that was what they're doing, I can't do it. Israelith, I can't do that. We're here at Genesis chapter 45, and Joseph is just about to determine whether or not he's going to eat Benjamin in front of his brothers. Just joking, there's no cannibalism yet. He's deciding whether or not he's going to keep Benjamin as a slave or Judah as a slave, or what he's going to do there. I have a feeling he's not going to keep anyone as a slave. I think he's just going to forgive them, spoiler alert maybe, and have a really great time. Genesis 45, please subscribe. Please like the video real quick. Just click like. Just like as if it's an impulse. Just be like, ring the bell. I'm going to be notified. Going to subscribe if you haven't. Genesis 45. Then Joseph could no longer control himself. Before all his attendants, he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence. Have everyone leave my presence." So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him. So why make people leave if you're just going to make a scene anyway? And Pharaoh's household heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, I'm Joseph. Is my father still living? But his brothers were not able to answer him, because they were terrified at his presence. Who cares? Then Joseph said to his brothers, Come close to me. Come close to me. When they had done so, he said, I am your brother Joseph. Don't you recognize me? I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there have been a famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve you for a remnant on earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. The lives that he was doing all this to save, are those specific lives, or is it all the lives that he's saving? I'm going to give God the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say he was planning on saving all the lives, because historically he's really only interested in certain lives, and he's not even that interested in many lives that could die. For instance, all of the ones he killed in the flood, all of Sodom and Gomorrah. He doesn't care that much about life. He just doesn't show that he cares that much about lives. I mean, he really quickly killed 2 guys a couple chapters ago, Onan and the other guy, Ur and Onan were just like, that's a no. But here, God suddenly cares about all the lives, more specifically, the 11 brothers of Joseph. I think that that's probably what the whole plan was designed to do, was just to save these Hebrews. I mean, let's face it, that's really what his motivations typically are. So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household, and ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen, and be near me, you, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there, because 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household and all who belong to you will become destitute. So, you don't have an option. But look at what I'm doing for you, which is great. Joseph is forgiving. He's loving. Bring dad down here. He's family oriented. He's a great guy. And he just wants his family back. And he also has just a great attitude and perspective on what happened. He's like, hey, look, it turned out pretty well. But we should say that if this was God's plan the whole time to save these people from this famine, then you also have to ask the question, if he's going to control this sort of story and basically removing the free will of the brothers to cause them to sell Joseph into slavery, once he makes the brothers do the selling to slavery, he works the magic over there in the Pharaoh's thing and does the dream thing. That was all God's doing. Why did he bother with the famine then? What was the purpose of that? You got to just take one step back, There's always that talk of infinite regression when you're talking about the origins of the universe. Well, we have to do a little bit of a one-step regression back from the story that we're seeing and go, yeah, okay, God tampered and interfered and messed around and infringed on these people's free will in order to get this fun, creative story to happen. But why does this have to happen? Why does there have to be a famine? That's definitely his doing as well. So what if there was just no famine? We'll have to finish the story to see if something would have changed for Joseph in his life because of this. You can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin, that it is really I who am speaking to you. Tell my father about all the honor accorded me in Egypt and about everything you have seen, and bring my father down here quickly. Then he threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept. He's got the drama. He's got the drama that his dad has. And Benjamin embraced him, weeping. I guess maybe they were really close. They weren't that close. And I know that Joseph got a little bit older, so he wasn't that recognizable, more mature. He's the head of Egypt, not expected to be there. But you'd recognize him. I'm sorry. He would recognize him. If this was a true story, Benjamin would recognize him. If he's weeping over, oh yeah, you're my brother. If he's, now, you can recognize me, they would have recognized him instantly. So that's where the story falls apart for me. Other than that, the whole thing was perfect. That's just one little problem that I found. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Afterward, his brothers talked with him. When the news reached Pharaoh's palace that Joseph's brothers had come, Pharaoh and all his officials were pleased. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers, do this. Load your animals and return to the land of Canaan, and bring your father and your families back to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you can enjoy the fat of the land." You are also directed to tell them, "Do this. Take some carts from Egypt for your children and your wives, and get your father and come. Never mind about your belongings, because the best of all Egypt will be yours." These people celebrate the Hebrews. The Hebrews are the best. Everyone loves them. Everywhere they go, they're embraced. Everyone's like, your God's the best God. You guys are the best guys. And yet, God often goes, don't marry an Egyptian. Don't marry a Canaanite. Stay away from these people. We're not intermarrying. Guys, keep the race pure. Keep the race pure. So the sons of Israel did this. Joseph gave them carts as Pharaoh had commanded, and he also gave them provisions for their journey. To each of them he gave new clothing, but to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 sets of clothes. And this is what he sent to his father: 10 donkeys loaded with the best things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and other provisions for his journey. Then he sent his brothers away, and as they were leaving, he said to them, "Don't quarrel on the way." Hey guys, don't quarrel on the way. Guys, remember when you used to quarrel? No, remember when we'd be in the field and you guys used to quarrel? I remember that. That's why I said that. Yeah, and can you try not to quarrel on the way? I missed you guys. I missed you. So they went out of Egypt and came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. They told him, "Joseph is still alive. In fact, he's the ruler of all Egypt." Jacob was stunned. He did not believe them. But when they told him everything Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the carts Joseph had sent to carry him back, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. And Israel said, who's also Jacob, it's so like jumping back and forth, "I'm convinced my son Joseph is still alive. I will go see him before I die." But there is a matter of the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Now, it does have this blood stain. Can you explain that? What? Yeah, no, remember you came back and you said a ferocious animal had eaten him? Or I assumed that and you didn't correct me? Can you explain that? What are you talking about? How are we supposed? What are you saying? Like, I don't know what happened, Dad. Like, what do you? How did he become a slave in Egypt? Whatever happened, it was for the good. We were meant it for bad, and he was good. It turns out good. Why are you getting us? We didn't do anything. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm bookending this with saying subscribe. If you haven't subscribed by now, then you're just never going to do it. If you haven't done it yet, you're just never going to do it. But I got to tell you, I'm kind of done with Joseph, and I'm ready to move on to a new story. This sort of Egypt Joseph story played out. It was a hit. It's a biggie. But we're done with it. Now we're going to move on to hopefully some stories that maybe some of us don't even know. So stay tuned. Again, subscribe. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for being here. And we will see you next time. Shalom.